What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another day, another episode of The Daily Grind. I'm your host, Forgiveness G. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about Borderlands 4. Force Gaming has a video. Talk about I played 30 hours of Borderlands. It's his review, so we'll watch that. We're going to talk about Battlefield 6 Battle Royale revealed 100 players and destruction everywhere. We'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about Borderlands. Borderlands 4 live launch coverage. Are you ready for loot 30 billion guns? So we'll talk about that as well. Wait a minute, that's not the actual. That's not the. Where the hell is the thing I want? No, that's not it. Hold on 1 second. That's not it. Give me a second. That wasn't the story. We got that. We got. Is it this? Oh, this is the one I wanted. PC Gamer Magazine or whatever website. Why we don't have Borderlands 4 review yet kind of sticks into what is happening in the industry widespread. How's everyone doing? Hope everyone's doing well. Wardhoff, what's going on? Altern, Jason, Z, Waterbear, Roic, Sarge, Travis, Worlds, Ron, what's going on? Kilkins, what's going on? Borderlands 4, a game that I thought was worth almost $100 and complete DRM space waster. What's going on, Robert Jones? So, real quick, I just want to, obviously, we all know the news that went on yesterday about, yep, there you go. What's going on, everybody? Prayers out for Charlie Kirk's family. Look, I don't know Charlie Kirk personally. I watched this stuff for the last, 5 or 6 years. What I liked about him was that he was open for discussion. We do a show here where I give you my thoughts and opinions. We have conversation, and to me, conversation is one of the most important things, especially living in America, right? Freedom of speech, and you can say what you want, and sometimes you say things, and you have consequences to or actions to your or consequences to your actions. Okay, but it never should come down to assassinating somebody for their thoughts that are different than yours. All right, if you have a problem with somebody. And you disagree with them, that's normal, right? We disagree with people all the time. We have conversation here. Other people have conversation across YouTube. The reason people watch other people on YouTube is because they want to listen to what they're saying. So when it comes down to what's happening right now, it's fresh, and a lot of people are very angry, and a lot of people are disgusting human beings out there that are celebrating anyone's death, right? Obviously, if you're a murderer and then the murderer dies, people are okay with that because they murdered somebody. But someone that did nothing wrong but accept just freedom of speech and said something. This man was the most moderate person that would go to colleges, go to the turf of where people were learning a higher education and have a conversation with them, listen to them. And the person that was in that conversation wanted to have a conversation with that person, even though they were so angry and didn't like anything that he had to say. You didn't have to agree with him or anybody 100% of the time, but to murder somebody because of differences in thought is absolutely insanity. So I'm going to put this out, right, because some of you, okay, like to joke around about death. You like to joke around about taking this person out and death threats or whatever else. Okay? If you do that in my channel, you will be banned. You will be banned. Freedom of speech, but actions have consequences. Okay? So what I'm saying right now is you can say whatever you want. Okay? But I will 100% throw you out of my channel if you threaten, jokingly or not, to someone's life. Okay? That is a warning right now to anybody, because this is not a fuck around and find out moment. This is a decent human being moment, okay? All right, this is a decent human being. If you celebrate someone else's death, you're a scumbag, and you absolutely are trash human being. These are just my thoughts. Okay, now after I said that, we're going to move on, okay? So let's talk about Battlefield 6 Battle Royale. Morning, Ronda Rose. What's going on, Roadkill? And it'll pop up more as we talk, right? I'm being dead serious. Conversation is one of the most important things. If you have problem with people having conversations, then go look at yourself in the mirror. Waterbear says, if you should have also given a 30 billion number, be for real. Well, they probably are for real for 30 billion guns in the game. Right? Sarge says college campuses are for debate and learning. Yeah. Yeah. Cool Bama says, yeah, it was a sad day yesterday. I watched them on YouTube. It was also about just having a debate, which people struggle with today. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. And here's the disgusting part. Cool, right? And the guy got fired off of was it CNBC or MSNBC, right? He said that because of the words hurt someone, that's the reason they got killed. Can you justify that? Someone said a word to you, and the repercussions of that is murder them. It's insanity. Absolutely insanity. World says, I didn't agree with everything that he said, but I had tons of respect for the guy. Still woke up pissed all about it all. Yeah, it's you should be pissed, right? Because that's what they want. They want you to be scared. They want you to back down. They don't want you to know nothing. They don't want you to speak, because if you speak, it makes conversation, and conversation then makes you free will. Like, you can talk to people and start deciding things for yourself, right? And people are afraid, okay, of conversation. They're afraid of conversation. I said this in Discord yesterday, right? Real quick. I said this in Discord yesterday. Me and Duplass were having a little conversation, okay? And I'm 100% okay with having conversation, okay? I said Charlie Kirk didn't hurt people. He talked to people, okay? Gave them a chance to talk back. Many people are scared of conversation, not because they don't want to connect, but because conversation carries risk. When you speak, you open up yourself, all right? You open up yourself of being judged, misunderstood, and rejected. For some, fear feels heavier than the desire of expressing themselves. Okay, conversation also means stepping into uncertainty. Okay, you don't always know how the other person will respond, or will they disagree? Will they laugh at you? Or worse, okay, will they not care at all? Right? The unpredictability makes silence feel safer, so people don't like to talk. Okay, there's also a weight of expectations. Right? Social media and modern culture often present polished versions of communication. Snappy comebacks, perfect takes, witty lines, and real-life conversation are messy. Stumble or pause, sometimes fail, okay? Many people fear and won't measure up. And beneath all of this lies vulnerability, okay? To converse is to share a piece of yourself, your thoughts, your beliefs, your story. Vulnerability can also lead to connection, but it can also lead to hurt. So people stay quiet, not because they have nothing to say, but because the cost of saying something feels too high. Right? That's why people don't like to have conversation. They're scared of having conversations because they're afraid to look stupid. And when he made people look stupid because they didn't know what they were saying, that's exactly what was happening. Right? But he didn't want to make people look stupid. He was just trying to educate them. And the cost of that was to shoot the man. All right. Roken says Charlie Kirk was probably the best American out there. Really embodied the American democratic vision of debate. Yeah, no one's doing it. Went to the actual places where people had conversation that they don't have. It's sad. No one life is better than another. If you think someone should die because you disagree with them, you need to look in the mirror. All right, we're going to move on. Thoughts and prayers out to his family. 2 kids. I think it's like 2 and 4, 2 and 3. Those of you that don't have kids, you have no idea. You don't understand. You'd think you understand. You have no understanding. Okay? No understanding. Sorry. All right. Battlefield 6 Battle Royale reveal 100 players and destruction everywhere. If you guys like what I do here, we have conversations. We go over news stories. Give you my thoughts and opinions. I take your thoughts and opinions. Okay? Battlefield 6 Battle Royale. We do this Monday through Thursday. From 10 o'clock in the morning till noon Eastern. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay? EA will begin closed testing of Battlefield 6 Battle Royale this week. So apparently we're going to see a lot of leaks from a lot of people. Okay? EA has revealed that the first details of Battlefield 6 Battle Royale mode, which says it will feature 100 players, destructible environments, vehicles, and more. Battle Royale will enter the testing this week. EA announced that Wednesday, notably, Battlefield 6 spin on the mode will also include what is developed teams call the deadliest ring of BR. What does that mean? Just on that line, what does that mean? The deadliest ring of BR. A ring comes, you get in the ring, you're starting to slowly die, and then the longer you stay in the game, it kills you instantly, basically, right? So what are we talking about? It's going to be instant death when the ring hits you? Okay. So with urgent warnings as a fire approaches, soldiers will be pushed into more intense firefights as the game space continues to shrink. Don't try to spice up the Battle Royale. We understand what Battle Royale is, right? You saying the ring of fire is going to come in and make people like, no, we understand it's a ring that closes and pushes people towards the center. Congratulations, you've created a Battle Royale. There's no jumping in and out of it. Oh, no, you can't go into the actual thing. It's an actual wall of fire. Congratulations. What a groundbreaking move for Battle Royales. So no using it over cover, no walking through it. If you get caught in it, you are done. This is what they think is groundbreaking for this Battle Royale. Holy Christ. The entire thing of Battle Royale being inside of Battlefield should worry people, okay? And yet they're like, we have groundbreaking mechanics. You can't go outside of the wall of fire. Oh, my God. Imagine that. In Battlefield 6, Battle Royale players will not be able to change their class after the match has begun. As players earn XP, they will level up and gain access to the new traits and enhance their chosen classes. For example, the Assault class can become faster and equip armor. Throughout each match, players will then explore the map, complete missions, battle for loot, including 5 tiers of weapons and attachments, throwables, gadgets, and strike packages, armor upgrade kits, and custom drops in favor of weapons. Okay, missions will also have squad try to complete objectives that offer extra rewards, such as a weapon cache, vehicle key, or a mobile redeployment unit. It says, quote, this Battlefield's twist on a classic formula, so you can expect to find all the core principles of Battlefield taking place within the mode of gadgets, explosives, destructible environments, and the vehicles can also be used to secure the win, and the game's development team said. Well, I have a question. Okay. I love how it says this Battlefield's twist on the classic formula can expect to find all the core principles of Battlefield taking place. The core principle of Battlefield is all-out war, not group-based 4-player Battle Royale. Do they hear themselves? They're like, oh yeah, this Battle Royale has all the core principles of Battlefield, except the one major core value of Battlefield, which is Battlefield. Like, the mass-scale war. Imagine that. Okay, key elements players can expect from Battlefield 6 Battle Royale test include map. Battlefield is no stranger with epic maps. This is an all-new map that also has been built from the Battle Royale experience. It features a diverse array of tactical points and interests, each with distinct layouts and themes that offer unique gameplay opportunities. Vehicles, players can also find some transport vehicles around the map and even unlock powerful armor vehicles to turn the tide of battle. The intent is to offer more ways for players to traverse the map early on in the match and to create interesting combined arm action in the process. Tactical destruction will be everywhere in this mode. um, the actual destruction in the actual game is also destruction is everywhere. That's what Battlefield is. I'm glad they brought the game fully destructible environment over to the Battle Royale and how they use it to defeat their opponents. It says squad play for the test. Each match will feature 100 players organized into 25 4-player squads. This right here is the complete opposite of what Battlefield is. Just letting you know. 100-player organized into 25 4-player squads. Mind you, they can't give you 50 versus 50 in the actual maps. Remember that, right? They can't give you 50 versus 50 in the things. They took away the 64 versus 64, okay, because just whatever. But yet they decided that was a problem, but then they decided to make a map for 100 people, but 24 4-man squads of 25 groups, okay? Fighting to be the last one standing, communicating with your squad through pings, text, or VoIP aims to boost the experience and enhance their tactical options. Second chance between the support class revives mobile redeployment options. There are also multiple tools to keep your squad in the fight. Now, real quick, they're talking about how there's like tactical points of interest and whatnot. Sarge has talked about this in Battlefield games on GXG, talking about how Battlefield could be more interesting if they sort of like held it loose. You had points of interest, and you would go make an established hold to kind of sway the battle, okay? Instead of making a Battle Royale game, you could have taken these tactical points of interest. So let's say you're playing a conquest mode, and one team has to protect C more than all the other flags because that point gives them a tank or whatnot. Now, this happens in the game itself, but people really don't understand this. But if they make it where if you hold this point, you get a bonus or whatever, that would force people. So they should do tactical points in the regular game as well. But they don't do that because they want to put it in Battle Royale. It says EA recently published details of Battlefield 6 maps and modes that will also include plus challenges that players will also be able to complete with unlock rewards when the full game is released on October 10th. Okay, we are a month away from this game, and I still don't think it'll be done when it comes out. VGC wrote in Battlefield 6 hands-on preview, most importantly, gunplay is satisfying with destruction is dynamic. Those two boxes being ticked will likely be enough for the most Battlefield players, but so far, Battlefield 6 feels like much more than simply ticking boxes. It's a Battlefield game that fans and the franchise in the prime would also expect from the 2025 entry. We're excited to try out more. I'm not excited for this Battle Royale mode in the slightest. Everything about the Battle Royale in Battlefield, and I've said this for months and probably over a year now, that if a Battle Royale comes into a Battlefield, it completely misses the boat of what Battlefield is. And if the best case scenario for EA and DICE is if the Battle Royale takes off, Battlefield dies. And people look at that and go, no, the Battlefield will survive. No, if Battlefield 6's Battle Royale, whatever it's called, if it's called Firestorm, the sequel, whatever, if that takes off, Battlefield, the game itself, is dead because it's no longer Battlefield. And if it fails, well, then hopefully Battlefield succeeds because Battlefield 6, the game, should be what it is, not the Battle Royale. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. What do you think of the Battlefield 6 Battle Royale? Is it groundbreaking that they've changed the way the circle comes in and kills you? Because that's exactly what it did before. The fire killed you. So let me know in the comments section. Let me know in the live chat. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe, and if you like what I do here, check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching. Jason says, it's hard to innovate a Battle Royale in general. What more can you do with these days? I mean, changing the circle for instant death is probably the minimalistic thing that you could do. And I don't think that's groundbreaking. You'd be like, oh, man, I really wanted to play Fortnite, but that circle just doesn't kill you fast enough. Windsor says, 30, I can see why it means, because COD and Fortnite, you can go within to use this strategy in fights where everyone tries to play like that. So I can also see what they want it to be. No, you're done if you do. That's fine. They're just trying to force you to play, but that's what the circle does regardless, right? People have different strategies where you can soak up on the shields and whatnot. Okay, great. So the shield comes in and it kills you faster. So that means games would go faster. You know, games would go faster, which could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I mean, I like playing the Blitz Royale with my son because they're shorter matches of Battle Royale. But for the most part, I don't think it's game changing that the fire ring kills you super fast. Eclipse says I actually left the Discord yesterday because people were getting mad at saying rest in peace for Charlie. I wasn't the biggest fan of him, but still deserves a piece in an afterlife. Yeah, people have lost their mind. Eclipse. Decent human beings have some sympathy for people. Jason says Tim the Tap Man needs his BR though. Needs his BR. I love the word, Sarge says. Diverse array of tactical destruction. Ron says, I'm going to create a game called Battle Royale, but actually a point-and-click adventure game. Actually, that'd be pretty funny. That'd be pretty funny, Ron. Because they made a shitty map. 50 versus 50 could have worked if the map was designed to do so. Right, well, they made the problem. They made shitty maps and said, well, the problem was the 128 players, not the maps itself. But then they went and fixed the maps themselves because they were actually designed. Imagine this. They actually admit it in the actual article, Sarge. They built this map for 100 people from the ground up. It literally says it, right? It says they literally built this for 100 players, but yet they couldn't do the same thing in Battlefield 2042 when they had 128 players. I know what you meant, Eclipse. I know it wasn't my Discord. Sarge says, all bets on BR. EA has all their chips on BR. Come on. Come on, 7. Robert Jones says, instant kill means you can actually use the wall as cover. Yeah, because you can just stay up against the wall as they're coming in, and you know nothing's behind you, right? So you know everything's in front of you. So that's the strategy. Everyone's just going to ride the wave of fire pushing in, and they can just watch their peripheral vision. Sarge says the BR circle has always been a timer to allow constant engagement and action. No stalling, no vamping, no hiding. It's the perfect corpo gaming loop. Right, but in Fortnite and other ones, you could go into the thing because the first circle barely hurts you. The second circle hurts you a little bit more. The third circle hurts you a lot more, and then so on and so forth. And the last one, it just shrinks down to absolutely nothing, and then you're done. I don't think it's like groundbreaking. Look, I'm saying it again. If Battlefield 6 Battle Royale takes off and is the go-to game mode in Battlefield, Battlefield 6 is dead. Is dead. I'm not saying the game is dead, like no one's playing it. I'm saying Battlefield, the franchise, is dead. Because if they can make a Battle Royale and that succeeds, then the franchise dies. Because that is no longer Battlefield. That is Battlefield by name and name only. Because if they do it correctly, that's what people will play. The majority of the population will play the Battle Royale. What's going on, Aku? It says COD is dead because of the BR. It's not groundbreaking. It's just design choice. But they're making it sound like it's so different than every other Battle Royale. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. Oh, I forgot to put the music on today. I forgot to put the music on. Let me know if it's too loud for you guys. I don't think you can hear it right now. Just a little bit in the background. All right. Sarge says, but it won't die, bro. It'll just be a lonely caterpillar turning into a beautiful butterfly. Robert Jones says the best part of Firestorm was watching and hearing the building burning behind you. The audio was great. The game mode sucked, but the actual fire was good, right? A little higher on the music? All right, so we have that. A couple of weeks ago, was it last week? Was it last week or the week before? Where we talked about Randy Pitchford saying, hey, we have a day one patch coming, but it's not going to fix, right? It's not going to fix all the problems, so don't get your hopes up, is basically. Keep your expectations low, is what they said. Okay. Now, I don't know if this is connected to this in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. I haven't read any of the reviews yet, but I do find it very odd that this right here is why don't we have a Borderlands 4 review yet? And this is coming from one of the major outlets out there, PC Gamer, right? Regardless of what you think of the journalists out there, when certain organizations get some and some don't, it makes you wonder, why do they choose one but not choose the other? They should just put their game out there for everyone to review. Now, I could speculate and be like, well, the reason they do this is because they're controlling the narrative. And if people don't report on the glitches and bugs. Now, leading up to this, Conan O'Brien on the his little gamer thing that he does, I forget what it's called. Something gamer. You guys will tell me in chat. But he reviews games, not reviews. He plays it. Clueless Gamer. That's what it's called. Clueless Gamer. Okay. So he does this thing that he's been doing for like 14 years, 11 years, 14 years, whatever like that. Back in 2014 is when he started. Okay. And he just plays the game. Well, while they were playing the game, Borderlands 4 crashed. They were playing it on Steam, and it crashed. It crashed on his show. Now, there was a little bit of what was happening here because they pulled the video down. And then they re-uploaded it. And people were like, oh, why did you pull it? Did you pull it because of the crashing? And to their credit, okay, they left the crash in there, but they said the reason they took it down was because in the video it spoiled something in the thing, but no one can actually prove that. Okay, so what I think happened was I think that the crash is the reason they pulled it down. Again, this is just my thoughts. I think they pulled it because instead of spoilers, because if you're Borderlands and you tell them this is the section you're playing, why would they care? Why would they play a section that could be spoiled right before the game comes out? So in my head, I think they pulled it for the actual crash that happened, but then thought about it and said, well, wait a minute, if we pull it because of crashing, we're gonna get skewed for this, right? We're gonna get scorched earth for this. So let's just bite it, put it back up, and it is what it is. Now, leading up before that even happened on the Clueless Gamer, Randy Pitchford came out and said, day one patch is coming. You might have to get new hardware, right? Because, there's a lot going on in the game, so keep your expectations low. And now people are not getting reviews. So let's read this. If you guys like what I do here, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning to noon Eastern. If you like it, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Okay? So why don't we have a Borderlands 4 review yet? Well, PC Gamer wasn't offered early review access, but it will also cover Borderlands 4 extensively after launch. Okay? If bigger organizations aren't getting copies, you gotta kind of look out there and go, why? Why? It's a brand new game. They would want the best. They want the best narrative possible, and when not giving it to something, do they have something against PC Gamer? Is it because the game is bad, and they're trying to tell the people that actually reviewed it, hey, don't mention it, right? Who knows, right? I'm all speculating here. I'm just giving reasons why they wouldn't give it to somebody, okay? So Borderlands 4 launches today, and reviews from critics have started appearing online. This is also another bad sign, okay? When games don't give reviews early, and the embargo lifts the day, basically, the game comes out, you got to be a little bit weary about that, okay? It says, we look forward to playing the reviewing Gearbox latest co-op shooter ourselves, but the PC Gamer that worked will also start after the game's public launch. 2K Games provided early review copies of Borderlands 4 to a number of media outlets, but PC Gamer was offered access to launch only, okay? Well, digging into Borderlands 4, as soon as it unlocks, we'll publish our review when it's ready. Okay, one thing to particularly curious to investigate is its PC performance, as the minimum specs somewhat surprisingly call for 8-core CPU or equivalent. Okay, it says, I also want to know what the emotional claptrap moment we've been promised is. In the meantime, we'll see whether or not we agree that Harvey's recent ranking of the top 5 Borderlands game. Okay, so they didn't get a copy. And you got to ask questions why. Right? You got to ask questions, why didn't they get a copy? Is it because of performance issues? Maybe the only things they were giving out were actual PC copies, and maybe that's why it was happening. Why pick and choose what outlets? Again, they have every right to pick and choose who they want it to give it to, but it seems a little odd that they would not give PC Gamer a copy, and it's also odd that they didn't give anyone early access. I saw Shroud play it one mission about a week ago, or whatever it was. I saw a couple of other people play that same mission about a week ago or so. But there's no early reviews. There was early looks. Morning, Luke. Okay. There was other looks at it, but there wasn't reviews. And now, right now, let's see what the review score is on Metacritic. Okay. Borderlands is at 84. Okay, 84. Let's see. Do we have any reviews? CG Magazine gives it a 100. A 100. Well, I can't take that serious. Anyone that gives 100 to any game, I can't take you serious. Because that means there's no issues. No issues. You had a flawless experience with your game. You had a flawless experience. Everything was 10s across the board. Sound design, gameplay design, no crashes, no nothing. Nothing. Okay? It says the Borderlands perfect. It's perfect. A game that takes a foundation of the series and elevates it to every conceivable way. Funnier, smarter, richer, more thrilling, absolutely overflowing with reasons to keep playing long after the credits roll. Now, this is why CG Magazine got a copy and PC Gamer didn't. Radio Times. Okay, sometimes game doesn't need to be deep or thought-provoking at every turn. It just needs to be a blast to play, and can safely say that Borderlands 4 is the most fun I've had in a game in a long time. Okay. Xbox era. Borderlands 4 is a masterpiece. Masterpiece. Okay, 100 across the board there. Hooked Gamers. Overall, Borderlands 4 is a masterful continuation of the series in honors of the roots while daring to venture into new territory, both geographically and mechanically. The diverse and compelling new world, okay, combined with the most extensive skill trees we refined sense of humor, makes the must-play for both longtime fans and whatever. Okay, Gamer RD. Borderlands 4 delivers fast-paced action, next-gen visuals, excellent PC performance, with impressive use of DLSS 4, an engaging story, charismatic characters, and diverse set of activities will keep the fans hooked, but replayability can feel less exciting over time. Post-launch content promises to keep the chaos alive on planet Kairos. Right? I like how this person says it can feel less exciting over time. This person up here is, it's a masterpiece, it's perfect, right? No criticism whatsoever. They just love it. Okay. Let's see. Area Juggernauts. Okay. Borderlands 4's redemption of a saga needed. Gearbox has listened to the community and fixed everything that's needed fixing. It's fresh, crazy fun, chaotic, and everything Borderlands could be. Perfect answer to saying that 2 plus 2 always equals 4. They're taking the best parts of Borderlands 2 and corrected the mistakes. Probably of 3. Now, I kind of like this person's review because it's a 90, okay? It's giving the pros and cons within their little blurb here, right? So I can take that. Destructo, Borderlands 4 is easily the best series when it comes to gameplay and fun factor. The best overall game in the franchise since Borderlands 2, but some performance issues on PC are cause for concern. Now, it's interesting that he has PC performance. This person says it's excellent PC performance, right? Again, each their own. The reason I'm reading these is to make sure that you, the viewer, the gamer, has all the info, right? It might work on your system. It might not work on your system. Game Reactor Denmark, Gearbox has truly delivered one of the best looter shooters to date. I have a question. Is there more to this review? It's got to be more than a paragraph, I would hope, right? Okay. It's in German. All right, I just want to make sure because it's just a line. Digital Trend says, no matter what I'm doing in Borderlands 4, I'm always earning something that offers a new way to strengthen my character's identity. Guns each feel more distinct than ever, making the loot grind that is much more enticing. Each fight is the opportunity to flex my personality thanks to the movement system, allowing me to approach and react in dozens of ways. Okay, PC games, not PC gamer. Ultimately, Borderlands 4 gets a crucial thing right that I also would expect from Borderlands game. Its loot shooter is the looting and the shooting works so well that we don't want to stop playing. Shooting tons of weapons and tons of enemies and collecting tons of loot has always been the DNA of Borderlands. It's fun loop and still hasn't, and whatever it says there. Okay, we'll read more. Still hasn't, tons of weapons, enemies, DNA, Borderlands, a fun loop, and still hasn't got old after 16 years. Perfectly implemented in Borderlands 4. So there you go. Screen Rant says the series has officially returned to a looter shooter glory of Borderlands 4. So there you go. The Games Machine says while it also isn't perfect with optimization, especially leaving something to desire, Borderlands 4 is very clearly improved over the predecessor with a far better paced story, convincing each character, and also the gameplay has benefited greatly from the newly added. Right, so we're getting a lot more reviews saying the performance issue is not very good, okay, or lackluster of a desired. Borderlands 4 releases in full potential series has always had, delivering the unmistakable Borderlands experience, but with a ton of modern sensibilities to establish itself not simply as a fun co-op shooter, but definitely examples of what fun co-op shooters should be. A lot of like smaller creators, as you know, right? Not a lot of big guys. I don't even know half of these guys. Never heard of most of them. This is an actual outlet. This is Game. This is Game is an outlet. Borderlands 4 is not merely a refinement of its predecessors' flaws. It is also a series' greatest masterpiece, presenting the future of the franchise through 3 monumental innovations, seamlessly worldwide open world. All right, let's look at that, but let's now go down to some of the people that are below what the average score is, right? So let's start at the bottom here, shall we? Let's look at some of the lower scores here. 70. Solidly grounded. Borderlands 4 is satisfying looter shooter with also a quest for ultimate equipment that also will undoubtedly appeal to many players. But the transition to open world hasn't been entirely smooth. And despite all the nice new features in the installment, it's hard to get overly invested in a planet, generic activities, etc. Okay? Or erratic, sorry. This one says, the punk apo evolution won't happen in 2025. Building a saga historical qualities of seeking to iron out its flaws. Actually, let's just read that. It's a cooperative multiplayer and dynamic as the combat, but it comes up against a harsh reality. A looter shooter struggles to thrive in an open world. The newfounded freedom offered to Vault Hunters ends up exacerbating the persuasive feeling of representative. I don't know what word is. Fans that generate into search for power should find that you're looking for. Those eager to explore the unknown world is a little less so. So, feels big for big reasons, basically, is I think is what he's saying. Borderlands 4 takes turn that won't please everyone. It's an attempt to satisfy some fans' requests the developer have lost sight of the gaming identity. It's less funny and striking than the previous episodes. It's also in secondary content that also finds some small, funny, offbeat stories. It's only after a few hours when playing the co-op with friends that the game really comes into its own. Borderlands 4 is extremely generous and will also keep you hooked for hours before you even reach the end game. While it's undoubtedly a good shooter-looter, it's clearly not the best game in the Borderlands series. Okay. This one, GameSpot gave it a 70. All in all, uncovering loot, crafting builds, and unleashing chaotic mayhem is what you're looking for. Borderlands 4 has you covered. It's the most mechanically sounded Borderlands game to date, and the various Vault Hunters each represent entertaining opportunity to tackle the game in different ways. Just maybe find a good podcast or video essay to fill the moments between shooting and looting. The game story and the characters aren't strong enough to hold your attention on their own, and the game's combat begins to drag once you've seen all the enemy types there are to see. So there you go. Let's see. IGN Dutchland. Borderlands 4 offers, who would have thunk, more Borderlands. Frantic gunplay, an improvement, entertaining weapons, spectacular boss battles, and crude sense of humor, which doesn't always hit the mark and takes turns with the cooperative, seriously dark main storyline. During our review, a game lacked polish and took a few rough hours before it started to pick up pace. The large open world was almost zero transition and load screens, powered by the Unreal Engine 5. It also requires somewhat up-to-date hardware. The end game is meant to entertain users for many weeks and months via events, increasing challenges for bigger and better loot, and this sounds promising in theory, but release will show how it works out on practice. Let's read an 80 here. Borderlands 4 surprised me after not getting in the series prior to 2 entries, and also 4th mainline installment provides some of the most fun and ever we had in quirky looter shooter. The characters are also well written and also not lacking in charm, but most importantly, Gearbox has achieved something I thought was impossible, making Claptrap likable. Some performance issues do need ironing out, especially on PC, and I wish some of the side challenges were a bit more fulfilling. But overall, it's easily the best Borderlands has ever been. And yes, this is also stacked up against iconic first sequels. So there you go. So I've read the best, I've read the worst, and I've read the middle. So if you guys looking to get the game, we read a couple things. Performance issues seems like to be the biggest thing. Hence why they probably didn't give review codes to everybody. But it did look like they gave a lot of review codes to a lot of people. Okay. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you excited about Borderlands 4? I'm not here to shit on your parade. I'm not getting Borderlands 4. But that doesn't mean it's a bad game. And even if I was getting it, doesn't mean it's a bad game or it's a good game. So let me know in the comment section down below. Let me know in the live chat what do you think about why certain outlets didn't get a Borderlands 4 copy. And is the optimization on PC a big factor? Let me know. All right, let me see what you guys are saying here. Let's see here. Waterbed says, oh, no, I got it for free, so I can't return it. I just won't play it if it's broken, buggy, until it's fixed. Sarge says PC gamers have also been acting all independent recently, so we can have we can have that, and they need to get back in line. Luke says it smells lots of paid BS, but only time will tell. Yeah, we'll see if it comes out. If it comes out and it's working. Did I mention I found new coffee? Ooh. I do love a good cup of coffee. World says I'm pumped to play it. Have it pre-ordered on PlayStation 5. Have friends also be playing it as well. So even more fun. That's always good when you have a game that you can play with your buds. That's what Helldivers is right now for me. Right? And then maybe Jump Ship or Jump Space when it comes out next week or 2 weeks from now. All right. Next up is Force Gaming. Force Gaming has played 30 hours of Borderlands 4. Now, I do recommend we are going to watch his video, right? He just released it. And we like watching Force Gaming, but I do suggest if you want to just uninterrupted, watch his review, watch his channel. I like Force Gaming. Make sure you go down the link below, go to his channel, watch the video yourself without the pauses and stops and me talking in between. But we're going to watch Force Gaming. Like I said, links in the description down below. Jack says, 30, you didn't get a code for review on Borderlands 4 or don't do reviews? I don't ask for reviews, and I don't do reviews. The way I do it, Jax, is I play a game that I like, right? If I have interest in a game, I'll play the game, and I don't ever give a score or review. I'll play a game, and I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on that game, but I don't give a score. To me, scores are pointless. Now, the reason we read scores and stuff like that is because people like what the score is. But me personally, I tell you what's right or wrong with the game. Like, for instance, we played Star Wars Outlaws last year. Played it on stream. Played 52 or 53 hours of it. Okay? I told you what was wrong with the game when it first came out, which was the stealth mechanics, the bike mechanics, and the gun mechanics. People fought me on it, and yet they went back and fixed those things. So it wasn't a score. I said I recommend you wait until the game is actually done and complete. So that's what you'll get from me. You won't get scores from me. You'll get me telling you if I played a game, be like, it's not very good. I would hold off playing it. It's unstable, stuff like that. I don't ask for review codes. I got a Starfield review code back in the day, 2 years ago. They gave it to me off of certain sites, but I don't even ask for them anymore because to me it's pointless. It's not what my content's about, and so. Sarge says 4-player attack on new game equals fantastic. World says, yeah, I played the hell out of Borderlands 2 together. There's also a nice jump back in. Me and Sarge, or I should say Sarge and I, we had a group of people. We played Borderlands 2. We came in late on Borderlands series, right? Borderlands 1 was already out. We didn't play it when it came out. Borderlands 2 came out. It was on sale with all the DLC, and I picked up Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, and all the DLC and gave it to Sarge for Christmas, and we started playing it, and we absolutely loved it. I loved Borderlands 2. I thought it's one of my top 10 games. Absolutely love it. It was better because we played with friends. We played with a group of people, and we constantly just played it and leveled up guns and whatnot. But since then, Gearbox and Take-Two have rubbed me the wrong way. And again, I like games, but I don't like some of the companies. That's the reason I'm not getting it. Not because of the game, because of the company. Robert Jones says, best part about Borderlands is it's no live service, no FOMO, no reason to play day one. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Eclipse says, yeah, I like the way that Skill Up does it and ACG. Yeah, they don't give, like, scores. They're like, just like, I don't recommend it, I recommend it, like, type of stuff like that. I like that. Because it's putting it into, they give you the good and the bad, which they should do. Reviewers should give you what's good, what's bad, their thoughts, and that's it. They give you plain out what it is. They give you their thoughts, and then you make a decision based off of that. Yeah, unfortunately, Worlds, there's a lot of people that taint the water for companies. Is it because of Gearbox or Randy? Yes. Yes, Jax. The answer is both. Yeah, the answer is both. Like the thing that I talked about earlier in the show about Charlie Kirk. There's people out there that work for companies that are coming out and celebrating the death of a man that work for companies. And if a company stands behind a employee that says stuff like that, then I can't support the company. Because just decent human beings is a pretty low bar to set, right? Like, you just, don't walk on the grave. You know what I mean? Type of thing. Like when I go visit cemeteries to go visit loved ones that used to be on the planet, I make sure their stones are clean, right? I even clean up the people next to them, right? It's like your neighbors, right? Like you have empathy, you have respect for the people, right? There's people that or amongst us that have no respect for anybody, and they work for companies. And when I look at that, like for instance, DC Comics, the person that wrote the new Red Hood, okay, said something terrible. DC fired them and then canceled the comic. That right there shows respect. They fired the person, they canceled the comic, the first one's releasing, but that's it. They canceled the actual entire comic series. Okay? You can say whatever you want, but you have consequences to your actions. They went forward, and now I can still look at DC and go, good move, DC. You didn't lose me as a fan. Okay? You almost did. Right? Then there's the thing like Sucker Punch. Then there's the thing of certain influencers, certain people that write the news for video games. We will no longer be covering their stories because they're scumbag people. Right? And I won't call individuals out. You can go see it on the internet. Right? I don't know their names and stuff. Sarge says, I used to like the buy, wait, rent review score. Yeah, that I used to do that with movies. I'd be like, that's an airplane watch. That's a rental. That's a movie watch. You know what I mean? Ever since the Aliens game, I don't trust Gearbox. They messed up Risk of Rain, and they also, one really hurt me, because I love that game. There's always one game. There's always that one game that kind of like hurts you. World says, yeah, Sucker Punch might be in trouble if they don't respect or react properly. Yep. That's respectable and should be standard. Yeah, 100%. Like decent human beings, they drew a line on the set and then they crossed over that line. Like think about it this way. If you have thoughts about something like that, just keep it to yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you wish harm on somebody and you're excited about someone's death, probably should just keep that to yourself. It's crazy. Let's just say because it's real easy. If you don't like something, you stop watching. If you don't like something, you stop reading. You know what I mean? Yesterday, I had a cleansing in my Twitter feed and social media stuff. Real simple. Real simple. It's just like, oh, okay, see you later. Right? I don't ask for cancellation of anybody. I don't ask for anything like that. I just look at it and go, yep, I'm done. Thanks for your disgusting take. See you later. All right. Altair says, I didn't know who he was until today. You probably saw clips and stuff around. If you're talking about Charlie Kirk, if that's what you're talking about. All right, let's talk about Force Gaming. Okay, Force Gaming played 30 hours of Borderlands 4. I like watching him. He gives good reviews. I like his thoughts and stuff like that. You might not like his thoughts, okay, but I like his thoughts. And we watch his videos, and I give you my thoughts on his thoughts. So here we go.
4 is just about here. I got a review copy of the game and have been playing over the course of the past week. Got about 30 hours or so in now, and well,
real quick, let me stop the music.
Let's talk about it. All right, so what is Borderlands 4? I mean, it probably needs no introduction. This is the next installment in the Borderlands franchise. Now, as someone who played a lot of the first game and equally enjoyed the second game, but for whatever reason, and I couldn't really place my finger on it, like
Water Bear says, did Force play 30 hours after his part-time ice cream parlor job? Yeah. He paid full price because he's a true fan. He's a true fan.
Couldn't give you a good explanation as to why, but Borderlands 3 just didn't hook me. I remember playing it for like a couple of hours and then moving on to another thing. Now, that could have been because I didn't really enjoy the game, or it could have just been that there was something else at the time that I really wanted to play. So coming into Borderlands 4, I was like, I don't expect a lot, but the early trailers that I saw were looking pretty good, and I liked the look of the gameplay. And my God, am I so happy that I played it, because it's got some issues. Like, there are some big issues.
It's nice that he leads off with this. Like, there are issues, and now he'll probably tell you what the issues are. He'll tell you the good, the bad, right? And then you make a choice. instead of just blindly liking something because, well, they tell you to.
That may very well drag down the score pretty hard when this comes out and gets in the public's hand. Playing the game has been a lot of fun. This is more than I expected, and I have genuinely enjoyed it, barring a few glaring issues, which we'll get into. Okay, so it all starts out, you pick a Vault Hunter. There are 4 available. I went with Vex, who is this like siren lady of the void. She's basically like a witch or something in the Borderlands universe, as far as I'm aware. You run through a tutorial where you do a little bit of an escape with the help of an accomplice. In the process, learning the basics of course, movement and combat, some of the game's initial systems. And then you get tossed out into the open world, waking up on a beach. Claptrap is there in need of your help, with some of his classic humor woven in between his request for your assistance. And then off you go. And it's really from here on out that you are now in a full open world Borderlands game.
I wonder how that's going to resonate with the community, right? I wonder how that's going to resonate with the community, because I think it's pretty cool that it is open world, but I like open worlds where someone that needs the more linear structure, like all of a sudden, like imagine people that played Assassin's Creed, which is like open-esque world, right? Open world, now it's open world. All of a sudden they made that linear, right? People that like open world games would be like, oh, this is kind of weird. I wonder that the people, even though it was open world-esque, it was more linear, like do the missions here, do the missions there. This is open world, go do what you want inside of this thing. So I wonder how that's going to translate to the people that like the Borderlands series before, and now that they've gone open world. And I wonder how many people that never played a Borderlands game, if they're going to like this open world-esque, because they might feel lost, because a lot of people like their hand being held.
And I'm not sure why, but I wasn't under the impression that this was a full-on open world game, but it 100% is. This is Borderlands open world game. It's arrived, and it's pretty massive. In fact, most review builds, they'll come with like an info sheet that gives some basic details about the game. And as I was going through that, it said that it should take you like roughly 4 hours on average to reach the first major boss fight in the main story quest. I didn't get there until about 12 hours in, so just 3x the...
Well, that's because, see, this is my point. If you're a person, if it's more linear, it would take you 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours to get there. But if you're like me, where I go on the outer edge of the map and start going around and I get sidetracked where I'm like, oh, what's this over here, right? Someone could beat a game in 8 hours, and meanwhile, I'm like 56 hours into the game, right? So it'll be interesting to see what happens if people get lost in this game, and not in a good way, in a bad way, because they're like, they get bored. Because the way I look at it is, if someone doesn't really play a Borderlands game, and now they get into this game, and they start doing side quests, and let's say side quest number 1 is the same as side quest number 5, and then you do side quest 1, 5, 10, 15, and you're doing a lot of side quests, but you start to see repetitiveness of these side quests. You haven't done the main story, but you keep doing the same thing over and over before you're doing the main story. People will be like, I'm kind of done with this, right? So I wonder if there's enough variety within the side quests and stuff in the world that people don't get burnt out before they actually complete the game.
The average time, according to them. And that's because there was like so much going on in the open world, all of these different side quests.
Z says, I never go where they tell me, unless it's forced. Witcher 3, I could care less. I'm doing all the things, side missions, and then they tie in with the main lore. It's great. Right, if you like playing games like that, that's how I play Starfield. That's how I play Fallout. That's how I just, where the world takes me, that's how I play the game. I try not to just force it down my throat to go just the main story, right? Because I know if I go down the main story and finish the main story, then I'll put the game down and be done. But if I just enjoy the open world for what it is, then I'm fine with it.
Points of interest to explore, collectibles, events that popped up, and I just like wasn't focused on beelining the main story quest. So yeah, it took me 12 hours to get to the first major boss fight, and that was only exploring like a third of the first big zone in the game. So this is a big open world game as far as I can tell. It's also one big fully seamless space. Now there are...
That's cool. One big seamless space.
are some borders along the edges, and there'll be like certain areas like mountain peaks in the middle of the zones that you actually can't climb up to physically. But I would say a majority of the play space, like at least 90% of the surface area of these open zones, is fully 100% explorable. There are 0 loading screens as you move about. In fact, I think I've seen a total of 1 loading screen in the 30 hours that I've played of this game so far, and that was in loading into like what was essentially a big
Now, a big concern, because they're using Unreal Engine 5, Unreal Engine 5 struggles with open world stuff. Lots of stutters, lots of stuff that happens there. So I wonder if he'll bring all this stuff up, because this is not a Borderlands problem. This is a Unreal Engine problem in open worlds. And we talked about Tim Sweeney talking about that it's not Unreal Engine's fault. It's the developers that are not they're not optimizing until later in the process. Now, maybe Borderlands 4 didn't optimize it until later in the process, and maybe it gets fixed on day 1 patch. Maybe it gets fixed on day 6-month patch, right? But we do know that Unreal Engine 5 has major problems with open world stuff.
Big dungeon area at the end of the first big chain in the main story quest line. But other than that, all of the besides that 1 loading screen area, the 30 other hours that I've played, or the rest of that, let's say 29 other hours that I've played, has been just like exploring the open world, doing all this open world stuff without loading screens. Again, I didn't realize that, but yes, this is a full open world game. That's what this is. So you're going to go around the zones, and it's going to have a lot of the open world stuff that you expect. You got points of interest, you got various events and encounters, there are collectibles, main story quest line, of course, and then tons of side quests and even bounties, a bounty system in the game. So let's go through a bit of those things here. First, with the points of interest, these are all over the place, and pretty much all of them will have some sort of an objective to unlock that gives you collectibles or currency towards progression. So essentially, as you move through the world, it's going to lift the fog of war on your map, and then on the edges, as you get somewhat close, you'll start to see...
Is that his buddy that he was playing with there? It has a Steam logo above
the
his
fog
head.
of war on your map, and then...
So, is this 100% cross progression, cross play, or just cross play?
And on the edges, as you get somewhat close, you'll start to see points of interest popping up as question marks. And then as you get closer and actually arrive at those areas, they will then be revealed as to exactly what they are. Many different types of enemy bases, camps, and strongholds, all very strongly themed to like whatever the area is. There are also dungeon-like areas in the game. These are these abandoned mines that typically require you to do some certain thing before you can gain access to them. Like there's some that are covered by a special shield that requires this like locust bomb, and you have to find a locust bomb in the nearby area, bring it over, toss it on the shield, and that's the only thing that can lift the shield. You can't otherwise shoot it with your regular weapons and void elementals or grenades or whatever. You have to find...
Cross play, I don't know about cross progression. Okay. No, Borderlands 4 will not have cross progression at launch, but Gearbox has confirmed that it'll also be planned feature for the future update. Thank you.
A special thing opens access to the mine, and then you go into the mine, and yeah, they're basically like dungeons. You go through various rooms with difficult bosses, elites, badasses, as I guess they're called in this game, and then usually there'll be some boss encounter at the very end. On top of that, there are of course vaults. We do play as vault hunters after all. That's like the main theme behind all of the Borderlands games.
Did you see that? Did you see that little stutter there? I don't know if that's the YouTube. Watch this right here.
Hunters after all, that's like the main theme behind all
there.
of the Borderlands.
It just paused, and hitches, and then it catches up.
Games, and in this game you'll go around collecting fragments in certain areas. They'll be hidden in spots in the environment, typically out of...
Here, real quick, I'll do it one more time. I'll let it play throughout the whole thing.
Like the main theme behind all of the Borderlands games, and in this game you'll go around collecting fragments in certain areas. They'll be hidden in spots in the environment, typically at a point of interest, and you get enough and you can eventually use those to enter one of the vaults, which you also have to find. There's NPC towns and villages, some of these with some side quest giving NPCs, others tied to the main story quest line. They're like central hubs that have a whole bunch of different things, like a respec bench, various vending machines, storage container and or bank, and then a special gold chest, which I still haven't figured out how you open. I don't know if that was the thing where you need those special keys from...
Yeah, it's the keys. So you can tell he hasn't really played a lot of Borderlands before.
Pitchford tweets out or whatever the hell that stuff is. And then there are these safe houses, which are more or less your main source of fast travel location. A few of these scattered among every zone. These will also have vending machines to sell the items that you've collected, as well as where most of the bounty boards are located. And every single
That's standard stuff as well.
safe house that I found has had a bounty board with bounties in the nearby area. You know, go here, kill a boss, collect an item, and bring it back. The open world is also full of tons of collectibles, various things here, and most of them will give you a currency towards the game's STU.
Kate Titan says, even more laggy / choppy if it's co-op. True. Bat says, I think if Borderlands goes from great good, Borderlands 1, to great worse, Borderlands 4. I mean, it could, but I think there's a give take. I think it could be a worse Borderlands, but a better, like, quality of life stuff is better. Like, I think the quality of life stuff they did in Borderlands 3 was good. Now, if they improve on that, excuse me, if they improve on the quality of life in Borderlands 4, but the stabilization's worse, you know what I mean? Like, you're making better improvements here, but you're lackluster in other ones. That could be bad for some. It all depends on what system you're playing on.
System, which is how you unlock more capacity for things. So you'll have to like find a deadbolt or a vault symbol or complete an event in an area. It's going to give you some currency to unlock things in the STU system, which we'll touch on when we get to progression here in a minute.
For a second, I thought that character was glitched. For a second, I was like, why is that dude floating up in the air?
Or complete an event in an area. It's going to give you some currency to unlock things in the STU system, which we'll touch on when we get to progression here in a minute. And then also in the environment, there will just be various kinds of loot chests and caches that you will come across that pop out a bunch of guns and other items for you to collect. Boss encounters. So there's a couple of variations here. There are static boss encounters at certain set locations, typically some sort of a boss arena. Now, in most cases, either the main story quest or one of the various side quests will lead you to these encounters. And then after you complete it...
I'm confused. What is... Oh, okay. There's two different bosses there. I was confused because I'm looking at one guy on the screen, but he has two bars, but there's two different guys. Got it.
Quest or one of the various side quests will lead you to these encounters. And then after you complete it for the first time, you can actually rerun them. There's a marker nearby the boss's arena. These are referred to as Moxie's Big Encore. You go interact with that, and then it lets you fight the boss again. But on top of those static boss locations, the game also has these dynamic boss encounters all over the place. In fact, as far as I could tell, they have a chance to appear at pretty much any major point of interest in the game. And what will happen is you'll be walking around and then all of a sudden you'll see this big...
So world events, basically things that were in other games in the past that they've added to Borderlands. That could be a nice little added bonus inside of this game.
Sphere or this big dome that appears again near a point of interest with a boss inside, and these have been fairly difficult encounters, comparable to like the main story quest line end of a chain boss fights. Lots of health bars of the various types because there's like armor, there's regular health.
This is basically turned into Destiny. They've turned Borderlands 4 into a Destiny-esque type of game.
There's energy shield, and then there's like meat armor or whatever, and then they'll have different attacks and combos and supporting minions that they summon. And it's been my experience that these dynamic boss encounters have been like some of the best sources of like high yields of loot drops, just like lots of loot and lots of high rarity items coming from these encounters. And I just love, like, you'll just be walking around and you'll see these domes pop up and you'll be like, oh, there's a boss in there, I'll go fight it, I'll kill it, and I'll get a bunch of loot. It's been a nice addition beyond like the static boss locations. Really interesting. There's also some dynamic events, so periodically you will see like enemies fall from the sky, or you'll see a bunch of wildlife emerge from a cave system as you walk by. But every so often, as you're moving through the environment, what was a moment ago an empty play space can all of a sudden be flooded with enemies in an instant. And the game does do the monster closet system like they have done in prior Borderlands games, and if you don't know what I mean by that, is there are like set locations where monsters come out of. So this can be like the entrance to a cave, or the side of like a shipping container, or the back of a vehicle, and it's represented in this game typically by like a black box that you can just see and enemies just spawn out of periodically. In fact, I think I first like was introduced to the concept of a monster closet in Borderlands 1, and they've continued it all the way up here to Borderlands 4. So again, it's a full open world game, and it's broken up into several named zones that are then further divided into more distinctly themed areas. So you start out the game waking up on the beach on the edge of the far fields, and this is predominantly like a grassy plains region with some wooded areas mixed in and a few cliffs. The whole game is actually rather cliffy. There's a lot of mountainous terrain in all of the
Isn't there multiple planets in this game?
Biomes, if you will. And then the main story quest line is going to take you from that starting area through it a bit and then eventually into the other biomes. You're going to explore and eventually come into the snow-capped mountainous region as well as a rocky desert. And then there's a few others beyond that, but I don't want to spoil all of the games for you. But yeah, the main story quest will take you through to some big major points of interest because the game does have a variety of size of their POIs. And then there are some that are rather gargantuan that again tend to have a big boss encounter at the end.
Is it one planet, 4 biomes? Okay.
As mentioned, I am playing as Vex, who is the Void Siren. So the action skill that I've been using is...
So I would assume, Sarge, you think that the DLCs and stuff would be different planets?
Is the ability to summon this cat minion Trouble, who will attack enemies, and then I've got like a bunch of perks that enhance the pet, as well as also buffing me and the damage of my gun, as well as my defenses, my shields, my health regeneration, all of that.
I'll be honest. Okay. Asking chat. Does this, just look at the video footage, does it excite you for Borderlands? It does nothing for me. Like, it doesn't, and we just got done playing Borderlands 3, and I enjoyed Borderlands 3, right? But we didn't go back and finish the DLCs or not. We played, I think, one DLC. This does nothing to excite me, personally. So are you guys excited about this?
Now, the other two options for Vex, that what you have for your action skills or your class abilities, there's Dead Ringer, where you can summon up these clones that do different things, or Incarnate, which will transform Vex, healing her, as well as adding a new damage-dealing active ability to use for the buff's duration. Now, you can have one action skill equipped at a time, so each of the Vault Hunters comes with 3 action skills. You can have one of them equipped, and you're going to use that periodically in between shooting and tossing.
Altair says for him it looks fun. What I'm asking though, does it excite you, or are you just looking at it going, oh, it looks fun, right? Does this excite you? Like, did Borderlands 2 excite you? Did Borderlands 3 excite you? Does this excite you, or you're like, you know what? I got nothing really to play. This looks like a fun game.
Out grenades. This is mostly a first-person shooter. You're spending a lot of time shooting and swapping between your 4 equipped weapons, whatever those are, and then you're throwing out your class ability in between. And then the classes also have like
Worlds. Worlds seems like he's excited about this because he gets to play with his friends and stuff like that. He's excited about it.
Special passives to them. Like, for example, Vex, she attunes herself to the element of whatever weapon she's using. So if I've got like an electric gun in my hand, it then changes the elemental damage of my ability, so of my pet.
Yeah, I'm the same way, Eclipse, right? Like, I'm not saying this is a Destiny 2, personally, but they've taken stuff from Destiny series, right? And again, I'm not a fan of Gearbox, but I probably will play this down the road. I'm not playing it this year. I'm not playing it next year. All right. It doesn't excite me when I look at this, but it does look like a fun game that I could play down the road.
My cat minion will all of a sudden deal the electric damage, or if I have a fire weapon, she'll do fire damage. So every one of the classes has all that stuff. In fact, the 3 other Vault Hunters, which are an Exo Soldier, a Forge Knight, and a Gravator, honestly, I had a hard time picking because those 3 also seem really cool. I'm presuming that I'm going to be playing at least one of them as I continue to play the game. Like,
apparently, Jason, a lot of the reviewers that we read, most of them said the humor and stuff is there. It's not as it's better writing. It's not as like the humor it was in 3. It seems like it's more back to the humor it was in 2.
Like, I'll probably max out the Siren Vex and then try another one, just because they all seem really cool with their own unique playstyle twist beyond just the shooting and tossing of grenades that you're doing, right? Now, this is a looter shooter, so let's talk about the loot. You're going to find all sorts of chests and containers in the environment. Majority of these will be like ammo refills or dropping currency.
My problem with a lot of looter shooters, if this doesn't do what, again, I bring up Division 2. To me, Division 2 is the best farming system, weapon system that they have in a looter shooter. Okay? Because what happens in a game like this, especially as you're playing through the campaign, 99.9% of the weapons you find, you're going to just trash. You're going to either pick up, leave, sell, whatever. Okay? You're going to find the minuscule drop, which is fine. I'm okay with the drop every, let's say, every 200 drops that you find between chests, characters dropping stuff. You might pick up and go, oh, I'm going to use this weapon. This weapon looks fun, right? And you might use that weapon for the next 7, 10, 15 levels, okay? Until you find your next one through drops. You might find your next drop within the next 50, right? Might get a double drop, whatever. I have no issue with that. But the problem is, most of this stuff is that you're just constantly going through. You're spending more time in the loot. Problems like this in Path of Exile 2, problems like this with Diablo, problems with this in Destiny, right? It's like you're going through all these things and just getting all this loot and you're just tossing it. Where, at least in Division 2, you're getting all this shit and you're like, yeah, you know what? I get to take that, break it down, put it towards a LMG or put it towards an AR or put it towards a carbine or put it towards something to level up the class that you're trying to make. I hope there's something like that in this game. Obviously, farming has always been a thing in Borderlands. Like, if you know this drop happens from a boss, you'll just go farm that until you get the drop. Fine with that, okay? But I'm talking about honing in, like, it changes. Because if it's just this, it's like, hey, I'm looking for an AR. The AR that drops today in Division is in the lower city block of New York. So that day you go there. And then the next day you're like, I'm still looking for that AR, but now it moved to a different section. It keeps it fresh. It keeps it from getting stale instead of just kill this boss over and over and over. And if you don't get your drop, you can take the drops that you got and put it towards something in the long run.
With the occasional loot chest, probably about like 1 or 2.
Let me rewind this just a bit so you can...
sorts of chests and containers in the environment. A majority of these will be like ammo refills or dropping currency, with the occasional loot chest, probably about like 1 or 2 per point of interest. Lots of the loot that you're going to be getting, like the actual item drops, will be coming from boss kills or difficult enemies.
So now here's another thing that is cool, but yet might not on paper be better. The world bosses that drop randomly with the bubbles, they might be on a timer. They might be on a 10-minute timer, 15-minute timer. They might fight in just certain sections. Obviously, when the game comes out today, within a week's time, people will know that this guy that he just killed happens every 15 minutes on the hour. So I'll be at 2, 2:15, 2:30, 2:45, 3 o'clock, right? They'll know when it happens, what area it happens in, what the loot pool is. Now, if these guys drop better gear than what you can get in a chest in a certain point of interest, or if these guys get better drops than the people that just drop stuff out in the world, it's not just a 1 out of every 1,000 drops something happens in the world, then what's going to happen is everyone's just going to farm these guys. Everyone's just going to farm. They're not going to care about the loot chests everywhere because the probability of you finding something in the chest is much slimmer than from the boss because his drop rate might be better. Right? So then you have this problem that starts to form in an open world game where you have this massive area, okay? Go where you want, scales with you no matter what you do, but then people start to break down what's the best, most efficient way. Gamers are going to be gamers, and then it takes all of this. Doesn't matter if it's an open world game, doesn't matter if it's 1,000 planets, doesn't matter if it's 18 quintillion planets. It breaks it down to the minimalistic one thing. Best gear comes from this person right here, and this... let's say this gold weapon that's on the ground right here, you find it at level 7, and it'll last you to level 50. You see what I'm saying? So hopefully they got something to counter this inside the game itself.
Like those elite variants. Tons of guns in the game. That's what Borderlands has always been about.
Because you'll farm that guy better than the other boss, the actual boss, because it's quicker to get this. You'll wait 15 minutes, but you can destroy him in 2 seconds.
Out because they've got so many different modifications and twists. It's not just like regular kinetic weapon. You don't just have like your basic SMG, your basic assault rifle. Those do exist.
I don't think you can avoid that in any game. I mean, I just gave you examples what you can do in Division 2. Division 2's loot system and the way it works keeps the game fresh because you can go around playing the rest of the game and not feel like you're doing the exact same thing over and over. So that goes against 100% what I'm saying. Like Division 2 does it correctly. Is this going to be what Division 2 does, where they alternate what happens, or is it just going to be the exact same?
But they do a lot of twist and kind of funky variations of those things with different elementals and different types of attacks, kind of combining things in interesting ways. They have the whole elemental system, so you've got like the physical damage, the fire incinerator damage, the electric shock damage, the radiation damage, and there's like 3 or 4 others, frozen cryo damage, and it all plays into like this kind of rock, paper, scissors system where one damage type will be really good against a certain type of defenses and really weak against others. So for example, the electric damage, the shock damage, is really good against energy shields, but not so good against basic health and armor, whereas the radiation damage is really good against armor, but not so good against the other things. So especially when you're playing on the harder difficulties, which I'm playing on the hardest that's available initially in the first campaign playthrough, which is hard. You get to the point after the first few hours where you got to be paying attention to like what type of health bar does the enemy that I'm shooting at have, and many of them, as you keep progressing further, will have multiple. So they might start with an energy shield and then have armor and maybe 2 stacks of armor, and then you finally get to their health, or some various combination in between. So you got to pay attention to those and then counteract that with the elemental damage that you're doing, whether that's from your guns. Many guns will have multiple types, so maybe I have like an assault rifle that does physical damage, but then I can swap to an alternate fire mode that does fire damage. In fact, I've got an SMG that shoots physical and then turns into a flamethrower, or I've got a sniper rifle that shoots physical and then can turn into a radiation rocket launcher, like all sorts of different things. That's a big part of what Borderlands has always done, and they're continuing to do it in this game as well. And then there are also different manufacturers, and those tend to...
This is what I'm interested in the most. This makes or breaks Borderlands for me, is now that they're doing the different manufacturers where you can do different scopes, different attachments to the guns,
come with their own characteristics. Like there's a manufacturer that makes it so that whenever you reload the gun, it throws the gun out and it has it explode. Sometimes it explodes into multiple grenades. Beyond the guns, you'll also be finding and collecting rep kits, which is your healing. These can come with all sorts of special boosts. Like I've got a yellow rep kit right now that gives me the blood siphon ability. Whenever I kill an enemy, it converts any excess damage that I dealt into these healing orbs that then seek you out or your allies and heal you. Super good. And then you also have various types of grenades that have different functionalities and elemental types. You've got energy shields with different perks. You've got different enhancements which provide boost to your guns and weapon damage. And then there are also class mods that you eventually find. I started getting those at about 15 hours into the game, and these come with increased stats and passive boost for the game's 4 different classes. We got a few different progression systems for character. You've got leveling up in your skill tree, so you're going to gain XP as you kill enemies and complete quests. Leveling up will then give you a skill point to spend in your class.
Is that his music in the background? Is like a piano playing, or is that the one in... Yeah, okay.
Tree for
it's
each class.
like,
remember, as I said, there are 3
from?
action skills, the abilities that you can pick from to have slotted. Each of those has a base tree, and then once you spend enough points in that base tree, which gives all sorts of perks, it then lets you specialize further into 3 different directions. And then beyond any passive boost that you get in there, there's also slots for these augments and capstone skills, which come with big modifiers for whatever action skill that tree that you have invested in. The game does have respecking, so if you want to swap action skills, like you invest in one for a while, you get far down a tree and maybe you start specializing.
That's always been in the game as far as that as well. So,
and eventually you realize, I don't like this so much. You do have the ability to respec and try the other action skills for the cost of a little bit of money. The other form of progression comes via the SDU, so you're going to gain this currency by completing certain open world tasks, like doing these propaganda speaker events, or by finding collectibles like the vault symbols out in the open world. And then you spend this currency that can let you increase your ammo capacity for each class of weapon.
Oh, so that's basically okay. So that's the same thing as was a Gleam that was in the other ones, the purple currency that you used to get, and then you would unlock and get. That's the same.
And so the rifle, the sniper, the SMG, the shotgun, and the pistol. You can add more backpack slots, more lost loot capacity, which is like if items drop and you don't pick them up, it'll show up here. And then also to increase your bank storage. And then finally, they do have a whole cosmetic aspect of this game. This is just vanity customization. You can change the appearance of your Vault Hunter, of your Echo 4, which is the robot that shows up when you're doing certain things, like when you die and respawn, or when you scan the environment, or when you interact with objects that need to be like hacked, the Echo 4 shows up then, and you can change the customization for that. There's also visual customization for your vehicles and your weapons as well. So most of the quests that you complete in the game, especially the side quest and the bounties, they're gonna reward cosmetic unlocks for one of those 4 categories. There's like a ton of cosmetic unlocks for the Vault Hunter, the
It's always been good in Borderlands. Unlock stuff as you play through the game. Kudos to them.
Echo 4, the vehicle, and the weapons. Like, I can't believe how many cosmetic unlocks there are in this game. Okay, so that is the basic, like, overview of the game, its systems and features, and yeah, this is...
He didn't really go into the weapon system very much.
This is Borderlands. It's a looter shooter, but it's full open world game at the same time. For the most part, I've really enjoyed it. There are some cons I want to talk about, though. Number one, right out front, performance was, like, horrendous.
There it is. Okay. And the only reason I'm pausing and talking about this right now is because Randy Pitchford came out last week and said that, look, we have a day one patch, but it's not going to fix everything, so lower your expectations. And this is where I stand on video games. Okay? Broke, buggy, and unfinished when the game comes out and they ask for full price. This is where I try to say to you all that you don't need to buy a game and pre-order a game. You don't need to pay day one for broken, buggy games, because if you do, it rewards them for incomplete games. And then when it comes out, they're like, oh, we'll fix it. And it doesn't matter if it's fixed week one. You gave them the money before the game was complete. And this has to stop. This has to stop. The performance issues need to get fixed before the game comes out, not after.
Initially, I would say for the first day into the second day, it almost felt unplayable. Like, it was awful. The biggest
unplayable
thing was like regular, consistent hitching that was happening. This appeared to be the game.
He's got a high-end PC.
Game loading.
All right, hold on a second. Let me rewind here.
It almost felt unplayable. Like, it was awful. The biggest thing was like regular, consistent hitching that was happening. This appeared to be the game loading.
Okay, so again, we're gonna hone in on this. This is a Unreal Engine 5 game. This is not news. Every Unreal Engine game that comes out has this problem, and has this problem when it's open world. So going into this, again, I'm trying to educate. Hear me out. All Unreal Engine 5 open world games have this problem, and yet every single time they come out, every single time people are hyped because of the visuals and what they look like or because of the franchise, and then it comes out and it's broke, buggy, and unfinished. This is not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence.
Whether it was loading in shaders or textures or new environments, but the first couple hours, the hitching was happening like, it wasn't on a regular interval, so it wasn't like once every 30 seconds or once every minute, but it was consistently happening as I was moving through the world several times every like 10 or so minutes. It felt like it was the game loading something in and then hitching in the process. My game would freeze up for like 1 to 3 seconds, the frame rate would spike really high, and then it would settle. Now, on top of that hitching, the general performance, the frame rate was highly variable. It wasn't great. Now, what happened, though, which was interesting, was the more I played, the less and less the hitching happened, which is why I think it might have been related to the game loading stuff.
Well, that's not good. That's not good. So if you're a person that doesn't put 8 hours in, you're going to have hitching all the time?
That's just my assumption, not knowing the technicalities behind it. But the hitching slowed and slowed. It happened less and less frequently until it eventually stopped. Like, I've been playing the past few days, zero hitching. The hitching thing stopped. And then also the frame rate.
Well, yeah, you got to get at least 30 hours in before the game gets better.
rate has been getting better, but two things have happened. Number one, there have been patches every single day. In fact, just today, I think there were 3 separate patches. Like, I played the game throughout the course of the day. I would shut down, I'd go have lunch, I'd come back, there was another patch. I'd take a break, I'd walk the dog, came back, there was another patch. So there have been progressively like new patches coming out throughout the course of the past week. But also, I tweaked a bunch of settings. Like, I turned on DLSS, I turned on frame generation, and I turned it down. I think I was at very high, and I turned down the general baseline settings to high, tweaked a few things like reduce shadows and stuff. So it's hard for me to tell if the patches that have come out have been what resulted in the better baseline performance, or if it was just that I turned...
Or me shutting down the high-end stuff and going down to the... It's amazing to me. It's amazing to me that these games come out unoptimized. More and more. Again, Tim Sweeney says it's not the Unreal Engine. He says it's developers that are not prioritizing optimization throughout the process of making the game.
Turned on DLS.
Regardless of what's happening, as a consumer, I don't care if it's Unreal Engine. I don't care if it's developers. Something needs to get fixed where the game comes out and it's not hitching and broke and buggy.
And frame gen. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you. It started out really, really bad, and I'll just say this, like, if a majority of the player base has anywhere near what I experienced those first few days, I expect this game to get like really terribly review bombed. But if they have addressed the performance issues, say it was as a result of the patches that have come through, then that will be good, because frankly, that's like my biggest complaint. Also in the cons, I would say like the humor,
which is a pretty big complaint if you can't play the game.
Is very hit or miss. I mean, and mostly not great. Couple of moments that I have laughed out loud, like there were a few chuckle-worthy bits of dialogue.
Like the game could be fine, but make the game come out at launch fine, not a week, not a month, not day one. Day one, if you have a patch that has to fix the stuff as you release it, people pre-ordered the game. People want the game. So the first day they playing it, they still have to make a patch to fix the game that you sold broke.
And stuff. But I mean, I don't know, humor is really hard in games, and games like this that lean into humor, it's just so subjective.
Like, I hate that we justify it. Well, I had fun, so it's okay, right? Like, he's saying it himself. He's like, you know, that's the worst part about it was the hitching, but, you know, I laughed out loud. I enjoyed the game, but you had to deal with all that stuff, which you shouldn't. Now, obviously, he didn't pay for it. He got a copy. But for a regular customer to buy a product and the product doesn't work day one, that is the problem.
And most times it seems like it doesn't really land. It's just tough to make a good, funny game that most people can agree is funny. It doesn't happen it very rarely happens. I don't really have any instances off the top of my head. People like Psychonauts, right? But maybe besides that, I don't really know. So, and you know, whatever. Like, I can mostly ignore it. The real annoyance for me, though, came from the fact that a lot of the quest, even just the side quest, will have like extended periods, and I'm talking like 5 straight minutes of the NPC talking, delivering me these like not really funny lines that I just have to like sit there and listen to. The game does this radio thing where if you walk away from the NPC,
is that a load screen?
See, the dialogue still happens and you'll hear it through the radio. So sometimes I'd walk away and start fighting things nearby as he kept like telling me his stupid shitty jokes about his backstory and how he's missing his leg or whatever. A lot of times these quests would, in between like 2 straight minutes of the NPC talking, I'd be like, hit this switch, and then he talks for another 1 to 2 minutes, and then flip this lever, and then jump up there and get me this item and bring it back to me. Like, there was just so much downtime. It should just not be in the game, honestly, especially for side quests. Like, I should just turn to my side quest, and if you got something to say it while
I understand what he's saying, but I'll be honest, in Starfield, the side quests, the side stories, the side missions were better than the main story. I understand people don't play games a lot for that type of stuff, but there was cool missions, cool story, cool plot points, you know what I mean? Like, things that you were actually doing, like hunting down the Terramorph and stuff like that. Like, there's stuff like that that's like really cool inside missions. But this sounds more of, I don't really give a shit. I just want to play the game.
I do other things, and then that's it. But there was just a lot. I just didn't, it really messed up the pacing for me, and I just felt like annoyed as I was sitting there listening to this like not funny, kind of crappy dialogue that took way too long, but I kind of had to stay in the area because half the time I would have to interact with something. So instead of walking away to shoot so I wasn't bored, and then walking back so I could interact with the thing.
Think about that for a second. This is I don't know how old he is, but something talking in a video game, he's like, I don't want to get bored, so I go off and just shoot something else. Like that to me is funny. I don't know. It's just, I find it humorous.
I just stood there most of the time and was like, I want to be playing this game because I really like playing this game, but I'm having to deal with this in the process. So yeah, that's a bit much. And also to that note, I will say, I think the first few hours felt a bit slow and the open world felt quite empty initially with like too much space in between points of interest.
So SkillUp has talked about this in the past, about making a game big for big's sake. Is that the case with Borderlands 4? I have no idea. But if you get in the game and it's kind of lackluster in the very beginning, you would think they would put more stuff in the beginning to kind of hook you. Because if the first couple of hours are slow, you might lose your population at that point. But at the same time, I guess they don't care because they already got your money.
And too much downtime between fights. Now, eventually, you get access to a speeder bike, which just feels like the hover bike in Destiny, basically. It's great. I love it. And at that point, the world feels smaller, and it doesn't feel as big, and the pacing feels better. But yeah, it started off a little slow in conjunction with those drowning on side quests, especially. It kind of didn't leave the best first impression. But as I kept on playing, that completely turned around.
It gets good after 10 hours.
Into the pros, because I am predominantly positive about this game. If the performance issues get resolved for most people, presuming I can deal with the bad humor and whatever, the poor pacing of the quest, I'll get over it, because I love playing this game. The gameplay is super fun, guns feel amazing to use, so do the abilities, and the whole combat flow of going in, shooting, swapping weapons to the different elements to combat the enemies, tossing out grenades, using your abilities, that combined with just like great movement in this game. You have got a double jump, a dash, the ability to hover midair, there's a grapple hook and a drop attack. Feels good just moving around, shooting and engaging in combat in this game. I love the open world. It was a really nice surprise. I wasn't expecting it to be as open and big as it is. There's just loads of different activities and things to do, various points of interest, the quest within them, the bounties, the side quest, the dynamic boss encounters, the static boss encounters. It's just good. It's an open world Borderlands game and it feels good to play. Boss fights have also been really interesting. I've really enjoyed the loot. I found quite a few different interesting gun combinations and things. I would also say that playing on hard has been perfect. It's like just the right amount of difficulty. I am not just smashing through enemies, and they're challenging enough without feeling overly bullet spongy. I think with the exception of like a couple of those dynamic bosses that took like 10 minutes to kill, for the most part it's felt just hard enough, and I've really appreciated that. And also just like I've been wanting a new good PvE focused loot game to play, and Borderlands 4 for me has just fit that bill perfectly. Like barring those slight annoyances with the missions dragging on and those performance issues in the first few days, overall I've really enjoyed it. So basically at this point I'm sitting here hoping that the recent patches that came through will iron out a lot of the performance issues for most
Hopefully.
other players, because otherwise if it doesn't, I think that's going to be just unacceptable for a lot of people. But if it does, this seems good. But yeah, man, overall I'm pleasantly surprised. I've enjoyed this. I feel like I've been playing like a lot of extraction games and other games recently that I was like, man, if only this were a PvE focused like looter shooter game. It's been a while since we've had a good one of these.
I think that's what they wanted for Arc Raiders. That's what I wanted for Arc Raiders. I wanted that PvE game, but they changed it.
And again, with all those caveats in mind, I think the core of this game itself, the gameplay, the open world, the systems and features, how it feels to play the game, the movement and all of that, I still have more game to play. But from what I've played so far, I've been really enjoying it. So, yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. And once this game comes out, which I think should be the day after this video goes live, we'll see how it goes. We'll see. Hoping for the best. That's all for now, though. Thanks for watching. I'll see you.
So there you go. There's Forrest Gaming. Go check his channel out. Links in the description down below. Make sure you give it a like. I'm a little disappointed he didn't go over the weapon system, right? And they said it was a big thing about, you know, getting different builds and different stuff. He didn't go over that at all. Is there another review that goes over the weapon system in any way, shape, or form? Does SkillUp have a? Let me see. Does SkillUp have a review? No, he does not. Does ACG?
So I got a chance to spend a ton of time with Dying Light.
No. He's got hands-on preview. So there's nobody. Did you guys happen to see somebody talk about the gun system? Borderlands 4 review after 150 plus hours, spoil free. Moxie's got it. Let's go with Moxie.
Yo, guys, what is up? Moxie here with a Borderlands 4 video, and if you are watching this video,
All right, give me a second. Let me get Moxie. Let me get Moxie's link in the description down below. Because I know he's a big Borderlands guy. I mean, he's got 150 hours or inside the thing. Maybe he'll talk about it.
Borderlands 4 is launched or is about to launch. I have been playing this game for a bit now. I have over 140 hours. I absolutely adore this game. I've been like nonstop grinding and playing. I've leveled all of the characters to level 50, and I wanted to give you guys my like early impressions. Now I know early impressions at like 140 hours.
This is what I want right here.
I didn't think I would like this at all. In fact, I didn't think I would like this at all.
Let me rewind.
And you can test your builds and like test if interactions are working, which makes my life so much easier. So I've really enjoyed that aspect. One of my favorite aspects of the game, and I didn't think I would like this at all. In fact, I like readied up a complaint video.
So this is exactly. I don't even know what he's gonna say. I was the most concerned about this when I first heard it. I was like, this is what I wanted. I'm a little disappointed that Force Gaming didn't kind of bring this up at all. He didn't talk about this at all. So hopefully he brings up some good points and bad points about this. Maybe it's great. So let's hear it.
About how it was going to like ruin Borderlands is the part system. Now, I was really worried that if you could roll a Tediore part on like a Maliwan gun, or you could roll a Jacobs part on every gun, then every gun would just start to feel like a Jacobs, or every gun would start to feel like a Maliwan. And you'd.
I didn't think that. I was thinking for more of the collectors. And when I say collector, I'm not talking about like Funko Pop collectors, like you need to collect them all. I'm going from the collector point of view of you want, and I call it the purebred, right? Like they've taken the perfect gun, which was in the other games. You would just have good rolls on that gun. But in this game, they take apart that gun and they put mix match pieces on it. So it might do really good well with that mix match of pieces, but you're looking for the entire brand of the same gun to be a purebred gun that could be the best gun in the game if it's possible. And that's what I was concerned about, because you would never see that. But let's hear them.
Kind of ruin that like gun identity. However, I've really enjoyed this system.
Look at all of that shit. Now, I don't know what he did here to farm. Maybe he says something, but that's a lot. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legendaries, but there's also a lot of other shit on the ground.
Because it just totally changes the way that you think about weapons and the way that you farm them. Farming in this game is like way more optimized. You can just use the Moxie's Encore machine to constantly respawn a boss. If you need to farm a boss a ton.
Okay, so they have a way of just respawning the bosses. So there's sort of a loot farm. So if you know the drop rate, or if you know the guy drops a certain weapon, you can just farm that weapon. And you don't have to run through the board again and do all the other stuff. You can just start the boss fight again. That's good.
It's way more easy to do that. You don't ever need to save quit. And part of the reason farming is great is because the part system is so interesting. So, for example, if you're farming a legendary sniper rifle, right? And you really want this legendary sniper rifle. It's a Ripper sniper rifle. It does a ton of damage, and it's great against single targets. That is cool, but maybe you want that sniper rifle to also be good at mobbing. And then you can farm that specific sniper rifle and try to get it with a Jacob.
Now, do you know where that piece, obviously you'll learn over time, but does that drop in the same boss, or does that drop in somewhere else? Do you know what I mean? Obviously, again, you'll know over time because people play the game and go, oh, this boss drops this scope. And you're like, oh, I like that scope, and now I'm going to go farm that boss.
Part, so now it's going to ricochet. And even though that's a Ripper gun, you might be able to get it with a Jacob's part and then use a Jacob's enhancement just to like pull one up, which gives you more ricochets on it if you're not critically hitting.
Right, because there's also your perfect roll, right? There's your perfect roll that you're going with. So the gun type that you like, if it's a sniper rifle, like he's saying, and you want ricochet, which wouldn't drop on that gun ever in the past, now potentially can. And you can put that piece on your weapon, and now you're customizing your weapon, which I love. I love that. I wish there was stuff like this in Destiny back in the day. Okay, could make my gun more powerful, the gun that I want to use, and just keep adding it and making it better.
And so, like, even if you have a gun that's like a super favorite of yours, these new enhancements and the new part system allows you to change those things. Like, you could find a Vladov assault rifle that maybe does a ton of burn damage, and you want to use that burn damage for your status effect build, but Maliwan has the enhancement that lets you spread status effects on kill, so you're going to farm that AR until you get the Maliwan part, so now you're spreading that burn damage on that assault rifle to enemies. It probably won't matter to a lot of people, but if you're like into the theory crafting,
which I am, right? But I also want what power. So again, I'm a numbers guy and stuff like that. So let's say the Maliwan that I'm using, if it was a purebred Maliwan sniper rifle, what does that potentially can do compared to a mixed match Maliwan sniper rifle? You see what I'm saying?
It's a really, really cool system, and it's going to mean that we're going to be farming a lot. We're going to be farming a lot. It does seem like part rolls increase, and the amount of part variance increases as you go up in difficulty. So you're not going to be seeing part like weapons at like with 4 different parts at level 5. But as you play more, the rolls get even crazier and crazier. I also really like the ordnance slot. I don't want to like go on about it too much, but the ordnance slot makes grenades and rocket launchers feel the best that they've ever felt in a Borderlands game. I've talked about it before, but I've never really enjoyed using grenades. I didn't really use the grenades at all in Borderlands 3 unless I had to, or it was a grenade build, and didn't really enjoy using rocket launchers. The ordnance slot just makes them feel good. You can build around them. You can have huge ordnance uptime, and they're really satisfying to use. Now, I have been kind of raving about the loot system and the gear and
Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to get the answer that I want until the game's been out for a bit and people start making builds and understand where things start and drop. I don't think I'm going to get my answer, and that could be weeks to months.
Stuff like that. But there is one really big downside and some big issues that I want to talk about that's mainly balance related. Once again, I'm not too worried about balance, but I think Gearbox has been a little bit afraid to give legendaries the strength that they need, because, you know, in the past, a lot of Borderlands games, they've nerfed a bunch of legendaries when the game launches and the community gets pissed, people leave. So I think the legendaries aren't quite as strong as they need to be. That's not saying that there isn't really powerful.
Well, here's another problem. Because they have the part system, and then you can make a weapon more powerful, because now the drop is not the drop, and then you could find that same gun in the past, but it might have better variants of that. Now you can mix match parts to make that gun better, and then that gun might be better than the legendary weapon, right? So now you have to find a legendary weapon, and now they want you to go find the legendary pieces to put on that legendary weapon to make the exact same weapon that you're making again, which is going to be, you know, exponentially harder and whatnot. So instead of nerfing and buffing the legendary weapons, they now lackluster legendary weapons. Again, I'm just speculating here. Lackluster legendary weapons off the start, and then they want you to grind to make a full-on legendary piece of gear with all the pieces that you want.
Powerful legendaries, but in this game, one of the big new additions is underbarrels, and underbarrels are unbelievably strong. I could find a green Jacobs with a underbarrel attachment, and it will be stronger than a lot of legendaries that I could find.
Right. So why would I want a legendary? So now they've kind of devalued legendaries because you can make a green weapon much more powerful than a blue or a purple or whatever. And if you find that legendary weapon, you're not going to use that now. Now you're going to keep that legendary weapon inside your storage container until you grind and farm the thing that you want to get on your actual weapon.
And so that didn't feel very good. And I think it's just a balance thing where I hope that they buff up some of the legendaries and make them feel better, because even though...
So the way it should work is that, let's say green, with all the parts that you have on it, should get up to a certain point, and then the blue should be just under this, but then it surpasses it and then does the next bit, and then purple just below the blue, unless you have certain parts, and so on and so forth. You understand what I'm saying? So if I have a green weapon and I have a legendary weapon, the legendary should not be below green or blue. Okay, it should be just below purple, and then above purple once you get the right gear for it. But it seems like that legendary is actually lower than what a green weapon would be if you have a certain pieces on it.
Though they're hard to get, doesn't mean that they're good. And a lot of the underbarrels are so powerful that they just like outshadow a lot of other things. And so definitely some loot imbalance there. I am confident that they could fix that. But yeah.
But 30 billion guns is the same as 10,000 square miles of an open world game, which is the same as 1,000 planets, which is the same as 18 quintillion things. You know what I mean?
I'd keep an eye out for underbarrels on your playthrough. The next thing to mention is difficulty. Now, I think people are going to view difficulty in this game differently. And if you are wanting to experience Borderlands to its fullest this time around, personally, I'd recommend hard difficulty. You can play on whatever you want. I played on hard. One of the cool things about hard is you deal way less damage if you're not matching elements. If you are shooting like armor bar with radiation damage, you deal 50% less damage. So you are heavily penalized for not matching elements on hard mode, which I think is really cool.
Well, then I can tell you what's going to happen right now. People will grind just like I'm doing in Helldivers right now, right? Why farm for super credits on a higher level difficulty, right? Yesterday we started playing level 6s, and I was like, man, it feels really good on level 6. But why would I farm stuff on a higher difficulty, right? If I want more time effectiveness, I would go on a lower difficulty, farm and kill the bosses because I'm not doing 50% less damage, find the gear that I want in the lower levels, and then raise the difficulty up. You see what I'm saying?
Cool. It means that you need to like really focus on the elemental system in hard mode, which is awesome. But the other thing about like hard mode and the difficulty they're doing this game is enemies scale up in level like crazy. There are a lot of the times where you might encounter one area where enemies are your level, and then the next area when they're like 4 or 5 levels higher, and enemies that are higher level have tons of damage reduction against you. And so it's really important when you're playing to like be doing your side quests, be doing your things, because
man, this would be a perfect game. This would be a perfect game for Game Pass or PlayStation Plus. A streaming service would love Borderlands on it because there is so much time sink for grinding. They would love it.
You will encounter some very, very difficult enemies and some tough times if you're not keeping up with your loot, if you're not getting on-level weapons, and if you're not getting XP, because enemies in certain areas will just be really high level. Now, that might annoy people because there's not like a clear reasoning for why one area is a higher level and one area is a lower level, because it could literally be from one pack to the next. And I think this is Gearbox trying to have like, oh, like this area is like, you know, a high level area where the loot might be better, but that's not really communicated very well.
Destiny did this. We had those skulls. Remember the skulls? You would go to a certain section and be like, oh, what do the skulls mean? They were just too high of a level for you to kill or do kind of damage. We would do it, but it would be really hard to do.
So I think that's going to lead to some frustration. I personally didn't mind it because I kept up with my stuff, but I did hear some people just getting really frustrated and just not all of a sudden not be able to kill anything. The next thing to mention is the movement. Now, the movement in this game, it just feels like after you play it for like an hour or two, it kind of just becomes second nature. At least for me, it was. It's very intuitive. It never feels clunky. There's so many cool things that you can do. I will say that the grappling hook is like only being to points is a bit of a bummer because sometimes you'll get stuck.
Thank God you don't play in third person for most of this game. Look how floaty he looks.
On like shoulder height cliffs or like things where you should be able to jump over. But like overall, the movement makes the gameplay so much more interesting. And the enemies in this game are relatively deadly. They hit hard. They do a lot of damage, and so you're definitely incentivized to be using the movement to avoid damage. A lot of the boss attacks are telegraphed, and, you know, they give you the way to avoid them, but if you do get hit, you are punished. Now, I do want to say in terms of bosses, obviously not revealing anything, but I thought the bosses were definitely a step up. I didn't think they were all that challenging, to be honest. Maybe that's because I was, doing some cracked Harlow things.
Yeah, but you're a high-end player, right? So you're gonna get bored with a lot of stuff. You're past the point where they can feed your appetite for boss fights.
I did play through the game on Harlow, but I found the mobbing sections when there was multiple elites with multiple modifiers a whole lot better than the bosses in terms of challenge for the most part. Now, the one thing that's making the mobs very difficult is the modifiers. Most of these modifiers are fine. However, there's some that are really tough to deal with to the point of annoyance. For example, there's an elemental eater mod that can roll on enemies that when you deal that specific damage to them, they heal. But for example, I might be playing a Harlow build where all of my damage just deals bonus cryo.
That gun looks cool.
And now all of a sudden I just can't kill this guy because I'm just dealing bonus cryo damage and he's eating it and it heals him a ton. So there's definitely some annoyance with modifiers. I'm sure they're going to adjust them, but another one is this modifier called centripetal, that when you kill an enemy, it creates a black hole that you just can't escape from. And if you get multiple enemies with centripetal, it becomes a huge pain in the butt. And in a game where it gives you such precise control of your character, getting sucked into multiple black holes in a row where you lose all control of your character just feels terrible. So the modifier system definitely amps up the difficulty, but there are some that I just really don't like, and I don't think they're making the game more fun in any way. Now, I do want to just mention endgame. I'm not going to go into any specifics or anything like that. Totally spoiler free, but I would feel dishonest if I didn't mention my feelings about the endgame, because I'm glad that we have an endgame system, but endgame to me is currently the weakest aspect of this game. If I had a score for the campaign and the base game, whatever that score would be would get knocked down by at least 1 point by the endgame. That is all I'll say. I'll probably have a separate video on the endgame. I don't want to go into detail because I know a lot of people aren't there yet, and so I don't want to say more than that, but there's definitely some things at endgame that I wish we had that we just don't have. That's all I'll say. Guys, that is going to kind of do it for our review.
I'm gonna go back to the performance.
First thing I want to talk about is performance, which is something that I think has been a concern for a lot of people, and it is still a concern for me. Now, my game ran very well while I was playing it. I had DLSS on and frame gen on.
The end game plays, Sarge, but they still don't get it, right?
And I know some people talk about there's an input delay with frame gen or something like that. The game felt great to me. In most areas, I was around 160 to 170 FPS. When I was indoors, I was well over 200 FPS. Without frame gen and without DLSS on, I get about 70 to 80 FPS. If you're wondering if you should get this game and you're on PC, make sure that you have at least the minimum specs. I really don't think this game will run very well on below minimum specs, if run at all. And I really think that this game needs DLSS and frame gen. That's not to say that the performance is good, but there are tools in the game and settings that you can tweak to make it run decently. Now, I've heard from other people that it ran horribly for them. I can't really speak for them. I can only speak from my personal experience. In over 140 hours, I have not crashed a single time, and it's just...
Here's the problem with performance, right? People that have problems and people that don't have problems. It doesn't really matter if the people that don't have problems, because your system could have the problem, and the problem is there's problems, right? You understand what I'm trying to say? It doesn't matter if the people that don't have problems because they don't have problems. But the people that have problems, you don't know the systems they're on. And then when they say they have performance issues on there, you might have performance issues. So going into buying this, you're like, I could have performance issues. So maybe I should wait to see if there's no performance issues across the board before you dedicate your money towards the actual game, right?
Been pretty solid. Now, there is one big issue that we do need to mention, and that is hitching.
That's performance issues.
Oh,
there it goes. There it goes.
Dude, look at the hitching while driving. Ugh.
See, that frustrates me right now. because he just said his performance issues are fine, but the hitching's part of performance. The hitching is part of performance. I don't care if you have 140 frames. If you go and then come back to 140 frames, that is a problem. That is a problem. I don't think there's any console reviews yet.
So when I was driving to new areas on my first playthrough, anytime I would enter a new area, I'd pretty consistently encounter hitching. It was bad. I would take multiple hitches in a row. The game would slow down. It would stutter. This was mainly when I was exploring new areas for the very first time. I don't know, like maybe the game was just like loading the.
So is it happening like Minecraft? And what I'm talking about here is Minecraft is a simplistic world, but the more you do and the more you explore, like if you start here and then run across the world and you have 100 chunks, your game is loading all the chunks, so you start to slow down. Is this a problem in Borderlands where you're in the first section, and then when you go to the second section and the third section, it's going to build up where it's now processing the entire world, even though you're not in that section?
The shaders for that area, but if I played in that area for a while, or if I traveled back to that area, I wouldn't hitch as much, and I wasn't hitching on my second playthrough nearly as much. But it does seem like anytime that you go to an area that is totally new and totally unexplored, you will hitch a lot. It seemed like most people were encountering this issue. Not the end of the world, but definitely frustrating. The next thing to talk about is the campaign and the story.
All right. So that's the campaign, the story. We already talked about that. That was the Vault Hunters license part system. That's what I wanted to see. So Clip says, of course, the console will run good. It's 720p upscaled. Robert Jones says, got to load the chunks, bro. Yeah, I get it, but it's also their ability to make sure the chunks don't come in and it shits my system, right? I guarantee you this will crash on consoles. Let's see. Eclipse says, it sounds like it doesn't have a shader compilation at the beginning of the game. You need that in an Unreal Engine 5 game. Robert Jones says, what I'm hearing is boot the game, load in, and sit for 1 hour before playing. Yeah, you gotta preempt the game. You gotta go make a character, jump in the game, drive across the entire thing, and then once you unlock the whole thing, start the game again, start off with a new character, and that way the game's already ready to prep to go. Okay? Put 10 hours in to prep the game to get your second character ready so you have no hitching. Good luck to you. I find it funny, though, he says, I had no performance issues. I was getting whatever, blah, blah, but you got hitches. That's performance. That's a problem with performance. We saw hitching in Force Gaming's content when he wasn't in the speeder bike and he was just going around. That's a problem. Hopefully the people that are playing the game don't have that problem. I don't want that problem for people. I don't want anyone to have hitching problems. I don't want anyone to have performance issues, okay, while you're playing your game, because you paid money for it. You should have a product that's done. All right, so let's see. Let me go to Twitter and see if we can find any kind of short stories to see. Paul Tassi, I'm assuming he's talking about Borderlands. He says, I just spent an hour attempting to switch from the press build to the real build as I was a non-stop crashing, but I think it's fixed. Had a full reinstall performance, still less than idea. The game crashed 3 seconds after I posted this. Yeah, I can't play. 15 minutes ago. I just spent an hour attempting to switch from the press build to the real build as I was non-stop crashing, but I think it's fixed. Had a full reinstall, performance still less than idea. The game crashed 3 seconds after I posted this. Yeah, I can't play. Did you update the newest drivers, hearing that it's what's causing the crashes? Yes, but it's not letting me roll back. I can't imagine everyone playing on a Twitch doesn't have the drivers. Just day one. Just normal. Please consume. Please consume. It's fine, bro. Just buy it and shut the fuck up. Yeah, that's it. You know, I'm just trying to, and of course, full on blitz, advertisement after advertisement after advertisement after advertisement after advertisement. Don't look at it. Just right. We try to look at stuff. I know people want to be hyped, want to play the game. That's why we show the review. That's why we go over stuff. That's why I give you my opinion on stuff. I'm just trying to, hey, you're going to have a problem with this game. Let's see what else is going on here. Unfortunately, not a lot of news stories for video games. Black Myth Wukong update addressed on major Xbox complaint. So they finally fixed the Black Myth Wukong 3 weeks after it launched. Again, another game that came out and optimized for the system that it came out for. Aku says, so what's the verb? It seems like it's having issues, performance issues, but everyone seems to love the gameplay and the open world stuff of it. Like they love the game, but it's got performance issues, which means that people probably shouldn't buy the game when it comes out. They should wait until it's fixed. Wait for sale or week 1 patch. Yeah. I mean, you're only hurting yourself and the industry by buying something that's broke day one. You can wait a day, you can wait a week, you can wait a month, you waited 6 years. Why can't you wait one more week? Why can't you wait one more month? Right? Eclipse says performance is ass on PC unless you're using DLSS and frame generation. Don't worry about the money optimization. Just finish 200 million movie. Everything will be fine. Let's see. What is this? Okay, they're writing articles about that. We don't need to talk about that anymore. I think that's it. I don't think we have any other news, major news, anything. Anyway. All right. So that's where we'll leave it. We'll be back in about 35, 40 minutes or so. We're going to be playing some more Helldivers with Mr. Luke over on our other channel, 30 and Still Gaming. I appreciate it very much. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Is there still a best DLC category for the Game Awards? I have no idea. Jones, what's happening there. Yeah, so we'll be playing some more Helldivers this afternoon, and then tonight, GXG over on this channel, on the main channel, 30NSG, and over on our Twitch channel. So Generation X Gaming Podcast, a weekly podcast that goes over a few of the top stories from the past week, and we rant along the way. Appreciate it very much. You guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night, wherever you are, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Up there again. Welcome to the world that never ends. Run, escape, open doors.
2001. Browser world where grinding was fun. Halo 2 brought online fight. Xbox Live, friends all night. World of Warcraft ruled the land. Raids and guilds, a global band. Guild Wars said no sub, just buy. Fantasy Star Online reached the sky. These five, Run Escape, Halo 2, Wild Guild Wars, be it.
Always online, patching through time. Living worlds we buy and grind. Seasons turn, the loot rolls in. Every reset we log back in. From pixel towns to battle scenes. We're chasing live service dreams.
Legends, free to play reign, skins and champs, the money chain. Team Fortress 2 with hats on show. Cosmetic cash flow starts to grow. Destiny promise, 10-year plan. Shared world shooter for every fan. Warframe rising from the dust. Space Ninja grind you learn to trust. Hearthstone cards became a trend. Digital decks with no real end.
Always online, patching through time. Living worlds we buy and grind.
Events drop, the hype begins. Every update pulls us in. From mobile fights to cosmic scenes.
We're chasing live service dreams.
Overwatch squads and payload wars. Seasonal skins unlock the doors. Pokemon Go got us outside. Catching mons with AR pride. Fortnite drop, the island's hot. Battle Pass Gold, the juggernaut. PUBG built the BR craze. Winner, gameplay stays. Apex Legends, squad-based flair. Respawn spin kept players there.
Always online, patching through time. Living worlds we buy and grind.
Seasons roll, the meta spins. Every patch we dive right in. From payload runs to battle scenes. We're chasing live service dreams. Genshin Impact got to rise. Anime worlds beneath the skies. Call of Duty, Warzone fight. Dropping in each endless night. Final Fantasy second thrives. MMO King, it still survives. Roblox builds with endless play. User worlds lead the way. Marvel Rivals joins the show. Superhero squads are set to go.
Always online, patching through time. Living worlds we buy and grind.
From raids to drop, from skins to wins. Every era pulls us in. History told in data streams. We're chasing live service dreams.